a major reason why I think that I'm getting so much pushback against the idea we have free will. Free will has to, by definition, cannot be controlled by the laws of nature. In other words, there's a non-physical supernatural component to it. So that's the problem. And the problem is that many of the people disputing free will are devotees of scientism. That is the idea that science explains everything. And in order to subscribe to that philosophy, it's not scientific, it's a philosophy. To subscribe to this philosophy that science explains everything, you have to accept that everything only includes space-time, matter, and energy laws of physics. That's all reality is. All of reality is defined by space-time, matter, and energy. And if that's the case, then science should be able to explain everything. So what's happening here is the religion of scientism, their philosophy, is being threatened by the idea that we have free will. And so there they are arguing against the idea that they have free will, which is, I try and help them. Do you not see the absurdity of this? Because you and I have
arguing
two
this? Like,
exactly.
If you're coming to argue, like, what are you trying to change my mind? How
If
is
you're right,
like, it doesn't
then
matter.
both of us, our views have been determined by space-time, matter, by initial conditions of the universe and the laws of physics. And so it's like two rock piles arguing with each other over which rock pile is true or false. It's just utterly absurd. And I try and help them see that you can't even engage in this argument. You can't even have a meaningful argument if we don't have free will. But yet there's a deception there. The deception is they want so badly to have everything explained by science because it gives them a certain amount of security here. And the security is that there's no ultimate God or accountability in life for all my moral decisions. I am free to do whatever I want. They aren't really free to do whatever they want because there are still consequences in real life for their moral decisions. But that's where confirmation bias, that's where I showed a logical argument for the existence of God, and it was a checkmate argument, which we'll talk about sometime. But one of the science students came up to me afterwards and he says, well, if logic dictates the existence of a supernatural origin for nature, then logic is wrong. I mean, he used logic, he used a conditional statement in his thing and they had a logical conclusion to it. And like, if you're going to toss logic out, you toss science. You even toss the ability to have conversations with people and you just make assertions. But sadly, that's where we are right now. In our society, we're becoming a society of assertions. This is my truth, and no one else has the right to challenge my truth. But sooner or later, the reality out there, there's going to be a collision between my truth and what is actually out there.
And I think that's why the desire to cancel those that are in opposition to that idea is so strong. Because if you can't argue, yell louder.
Yeah, you don't want to hear something does not conform to their truth. But in reality, I find that dissenters or people that disagree with me are very valuable input. In fact, most of the arguments that I provide on my website or whatever are arguments that have been born in the environment of hostile peer review. By speaking on university campuses for years, hearing the objections firsthand and trying to come up with a response to that. They will recognize baloney. Everybody has a baloney detector. I can't get away with sophistry when I stand up in real life because there's always a Q&A afterwards. So, it's going to be a problem because they don't want to. The canceling is a huge problem because it's actually a safeguard to keep us from going way off track. But when you cancel people who disagree with you, you have thrown away that safeguard. And now you are really at the mercy and signing yourself up for an even bigger collision with reality down the road.